we are just waiting for some other people to turn up. So if we can just chat amongst ourselves, and just going live on YouTube. So we're just setting that up as well. There's Woon, there's Woon. Hi, Woon.
Hi.
Hello, hi.
A very unprofessional podcaster.
You're very podcasty.
How are your preparation for the move, Woon? Woon is preparing to go back to Malaysia. So how are you? When are you planning to go?
Well, according to my parents, as soon as possible. But I just took a break for 2 weeks in Greece. And that was I think it's going to be my last holiday here in Europe. But yeah. So yeah, I will be moving back.
Wait, how soon will you be moving back?
I don't know yet, but
Haven't decided.
Yeah, I haven't decided.
So before Christmas?
Possibly.
Can you just not go backwards, forwards, and do 6 months here, 6 months there? That would be ideal for you.
Yeah, it's possible. So it's very possible.
Yeah, seems a big change, doesn't it? So we're still waiting for people. People tend to sort of not always be on time, so we'll just be patient and wait for them another 5 minutes. But, and how have you been, Zahir? We haven't seen you for a little while.
I am in London.
Yay!
Surprise!
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I was busy with travel, with flights, closer, and the pandemic. Alhamdulillah, thanks God for everything. I think here in UK, almost of people are vaccinated. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah. I think it's mostly, most of Europe. We're getting out about 80% plus. Yeah, unfortunately, people are still getting infected. We know ourselves with one of our son's friends that 2 vaccinations and still got hospitalized COVID. So I think we're going to have a kind of like a booster soon. I think in the winter.
What about in Greece, Celia? How is it going there? Are most people vaccinated in Greece?
Quite a few of them are actually. I was looking at some European Union statistics yesterday that Merkel announced. Ursula announced, the president. She said that 70% of adults within the European Union have been vaccinated. I believe in the UK we have a much higher rate.
Yes, because we rolled it out earlier than everybody else, didn't we? So we're ahead of the game.
Yes. I was just wondering, on a completely different note, whether people have taken the Wealth Dynamics profiling test here, and whether this is something that, if you like, we can have a bit of fun and add our profile onto our name. I'm happy to do that. It adds another layer of communication, doesn't it? If you like, we can do that.
Definitely, that's a really good idea. So shall we do that and add it on? So just put DM for me. Put DM because we're going to be in that room.
No.
And I bet you're a creator, Celia, are you? Or you're a lord?
I'm a lord, but
lord,
very heavy dynamo, very heavy steel and dynamo.
I thought you would be, yes.
Yes.
So what percentage are you on the steel?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think I need to review that quickly. Momentito. I'll be back. I don't remember the percentages. How about you, Katerina?
I'm a deal maker and I'm 44% blaze, which, yes, I think is very true. I'm very not steely at all. I sort of panic and get the cold sweats when I have to deal with steel things. But it's nice to know, because I think you accept yourself a lot more, don't you, when you're aware of your strengths and you don't beat yourself up. So yes,
that's very true. And when you operate from that space, you operate from a position of empowerment. So that's the bit I really love. So she says, frantically looking for her report.
don't worry. And Zahir, what are you? What profile are you?
Could you ask again, please?
Sure. What profile are you? Have you taken a profile test or
The wealth
the
dynamics.
wealth dynamics or talent dynamics test?
Talent dynamics? No, I didn't hear about it, but I hear about disc profile.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And I'm like CD profile.
Yeah.
High C and less D.
Okay.
Cautious, compliance, and D dominance.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I found mine is 36 36% is steel, and then I have 28 dynamo and tempo, and very little of that is left for the other side, as I call it.
I like that, the other side. Over the wall.
Where you are, Katerina, that side.
We're complete opposites. I've got 12% steel, 36 or 32% tempo, and 12% creators. So we're quite opposites, which is nice, isn't it? Because
I'm 8% blaze. I mean, it's really low. It's hysterical. Yes.
It's good to understand it.
How about you, Woon? You're a star. And how are your percentages, if you are interested in sharing?
I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it was quite equal between Dynamo and Blaze. And then, I don't have a lot of steel or tempo, but I know it's I've been aware of that for a long time. So I think it makes a difference.
It does. How about you, Luca? We haven't asked you. We asked Katerina, deal maker. How about you?
I'm a creator, and it's not. I think it was 45%. I don't remember exactly. I think it was something like 45% dynamo.
No, you're 60%. 60% dynamo.
That shows, doesn't it? Yeah. I am quite a bit on the steel side as well, and tempo is my weak spot. Kind of like timekeeping is not me.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's quite a superpower then when you're in dynamo mode. How about you, Julie? I know you have your video off, but if you wanted to turn it on or just unmute yourself and share, that would be useful to know.
Yeah, sorry about that. I haven't been feeling well the last few days, so.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Oh,
it's not the one, is it?
No,
Good.
not at all. Yeah, but yeah, I have no idea. I'm just making something up in my head. I'm going wombat. I have no idea. I've never taken the.
Oh, okay,
no
that's
worries,
fine.
That's okay.
It just gives me a sense, because it's useful to know where we all are. So yes, thank you.
We had 12 people that said they were going to come, and so we've given them time.
Plus another
16. It was 16 altogether that actually registered. So we don't know what's happened. So I think we really should get started, and hopefully they'll turn up later on. So what we'll do is we'll introduce. There's only a few of us, but we'll just this. No, that's the same. He has just come back in. We're going to introduce ourselves, which is what we normally do. There's only a few of us, but it'd be nice. It's more intimate. And then I'm going to be sharing the buy one give one impacts that we've made, because that's what we do every month. People donate. They can either register free or they can donate some money towards buy one give one, and we use that to make impacts. So I'll be sharing what impacts we made last month. Is your twin appeared? Okay, so shall we just quickly introduce ourselves, and shall we start? Well, Divya, we'll let you talk about yourself later when you introduce when you start talking about LinkedIn. So if we start off with Zahir, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm life coach in training, health and safety advisor. And it's my second year in training to become life coach.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I'm from Algeria, North Africa.
That's lovely.
This is it.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Welcome.
And Woon, I know that we all know you, but it helps us run the London City Circle. When we did when we were doing it live, you used to bring video camera and just these great big lights, and which shone on us, and it looked really professional. And then he'd post the videos for us online so that everybody had access to them. So if I can just let you introduce yourself, Woon.
Yeah, so I am a podcasting agency owner. So I help impact entrepreneurs set up and launch podcasts. So usually what we do is we've got a process. We help people fall in love with that podcasting process and get your podcast launched. And it's such a good thing to be here. I think it's such a small community. It's always good to see you, Katrina and Luca, and the rest of the people who are regulars here, which I'm hoping will show up as well.
Yes.
It's good. Like I think I've been helping with some of the video side of the what we do here as well. So and then I think the other thing to mention is I haven't uploaded the previous talk, which was Pam's talk, and she's actually based in Greece. So I don't know, Celia, are you actually based in Greece or?
No, I'm based in London, southwest London. I'm in Twickenham, but I have to be here for a few weeks for family reasons. So currently in Greece, but based in the UK for many, many years now.
So I just went to Greece for 2.5 weeks. So
brilliant. Where were you?
I was actually visiting Pam's village. So Pam, who was the previous speaker.
Okay.
In a place called Finikunda, and it's like
yes, I know what that is. Yes, it's very nice down there.
Yeah, so it was amazing.
Good.
And then I was in Athens for a week.
Brilliant. I hope you missed the heat wave.
Yeah, I just missed the heat wave, and
it was terrible.
But it was still very hot.
Yes. I've forgotten. I think I acclimatized the UK a little bit too much. And now I don't cope with the heat very, very well, which people seem to find hysterical. But it's true. I disintegrate in the heat.
I have the same problem when I go back to Rome. It's exactly the same thing. I kind of try avoiding going in the summer. So I prefer the spring or the autumn.
That's exactly right. That's what we tend to do. We normally go to Greece in September, but obviously, with a pandemic and everything, any plan, well, there are very difficult holiday plans, but it's thrown up in the air, hasn't it?
Where in Greece are you?
In Athens.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So I was there.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys heard that they're gonna have a Genius U cafe there.
Oh, right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Michelle Notting is gonna is looking to do something there.
Oh,
In
fantastic.
Athens?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's brilliant.
It's great. So it's accessible to us. We don't have to travel far across lots of waters and countries to get to one. So that's really good.
There's going to be one in London soon as well.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We should hold it by the beach in Greece. I think we may get a lot of people coming in.
Oh.
We still got lovely memories of the cafe in Bali, by the beach. It's really lovely. Sorry, Zahia, you were saying?
Yeah, thank you. I want to ask about the test. What name?
It's Wealth Dynamics.
The profiling test.
Wealth Dynamics. Wealth Dynamics.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So shall we hear from Julie?
Yes, exactly.
Julie, if you are up for it, perhaps you could quickly introduce yourself.
So I'm Julie. I am a doctoral candidate in education, and I've just finished my neuro-language coaching program. So I'll be hopefully certified here within a few days. And so I just kind of wanted to, thank you, learn some tricks and tips on how to get marketing and stuff going for getting clients.
Yeah, brilliant. Where are you based, Julie?
I'm in Eugene, Oregon.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So it's earlier in the day for you.
It is a little earlier in the day, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is the topic? You mentioned education. You're doing a PhD in education. What's I started a PhD in London, by the way, because I did a master's degree. And then I thought, yes, I'm doing a PhD. And then 2 terms in, I thought, okay, wrong turn.
Yeah. It's really not for everybody, and probably very wise that you left while you recognize that. It's very smart. I'm studying essentially value consonants. So if the teacher's values align with the principal's values, is there like a greater teacher retention rate? That's what I'm looking at.
Absolutely. That's actually, funnily enough, I was having this conversation about board alignment with CEOs and senior team. It's the same thing. Sometimes you have the big vision of a company. The top people are okay with it, but the senior team may not necessarily be on board. So yes, I can imagine that not being congruent and in alignment really can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, absolutely. It's essentially the same idea, and it really hasn't been looked at that much in education, surprisingly. So yeah, it's mostly been aligned, or mostly been looked at with businesses. So yeah.
Fantastic. That's very interesting. So when are you finishing that? You mentioned the NLP qualification, but the PhD?
I'll be done, fingers crossed, spring term next in 2022.
Fantastic. So it's a good time to be planning ahead on how you're going to structure this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I'm thinking also income and stuff like that. So yeah, it's
brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, so Nevis, hi, thanks for joining us. Lovely to see you. Hi. So you've just come at the right time because we're all introducing ourselves. So you're last in, and so if you could introduce yourself before we move on to the next bit.
So hi, my name is Nevis, and I live in London, and I have beauty salons here in London. That I had for a long time, 20 over years. Can't even remember the number. So yes, that's what I do in London.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Jeff's just joined us as well. We can't see you, Jeff.
Just give him a second. I think he's logging.
There, yeah. Okay, we'll just let Jeff introduce himself, and he is a Aussie's supporter, I think, Celia. So I can tell you in advance.
Yes, Jeff and I are connected on Facebook for years and years, but I've never met you in real life, or indeed over Zoom in virtual life either, Jeff.
Hi there. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
Excellent. I'm juggling on 2 phones here at the moment, and I was just on a Google webinar presentation, but I can access that on demand, so I thought I'd jump onto here. So sorry, I'm a little bit late.
That's okay. We're just going through the introduction, so if you'd like to introduce yourself, Jeff, to everybody.
Okay, great. Can't see the option to put my video on, so it's probably a good thing anyway. My name's Jeff Alexander. For the past 17 years, I've been working for myself. Started off in the digital world, actually building websites, but soon moved across into fully focusing on the marketing of websites and promotion. First in the UK to get certified by Google in 2004. I've got the grey hairs and the arrows in my back to prove it. I've worked with all sorts of companies and businesses and entrepreneurs of all shapes and sizes, from the local business level right down to up to global organizations and national chains as well. I've run boot camps and workshops, and Google have hired me to train agencies on Google Ads as well. So lots of different things I've been involved in, and I'm in the process at the moment of productizing a lot of my knowledge and reaching more people rather than the one-to-one model that I've been using up until now, really, apart from the workshops.
Brilliant. Great introduction. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to share what buy one give one impacts we made last month. So every year, about 760,000 tons of food waste is generated in Singapore just because the food looks ugly. And I remember my gran always telling me that ugly food is always the nicest, even though I used to sort of turn my nose up at it when I was a child. And she was right. And this is what's happening in Singapore. People don't like the look of the food, so they're just wasting it. And the food bank for Singapore is actually has got arrangements with farmers, manufacturers, retailers, and they collect this food and give it to the needy. And by doing that, it's sort of like reducing the carbon dioxide emissions on our planet. So it's a really good cause. Now, the impacts that we made for this particular project was 200. We thank you very much for people that actually helped make that possible. So I'll just clap and say thank you very much. So we get to the lovely part of the evening where we're going to be introducing Celia as speaker. And she's a queen bee of LinkedIn, a marketing communication strategist and a personal branding specialist on LinkedIn. And as a marketing mentor and trainer, she loves helping small businesses attract and convert more clients online. Now, she also runs the Read to Lead book club, a business and marketing focused club for driven professionals. And she also leads monthly business networking events in Southwest London, one of which is the Federation of Small Businesses. And she's also part of the Unity community. So please, could you just give a warm welcome to Celia.
Hello, everyone. Lovely to be here and lovely to meet everyone. And you, Katerina, and look at what I think we met at the very last live event Roger did in London back in February 2020. It feels like ages ago. But here we are. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to build an effective marketing funnel. I appreciate that there is a good mix in the audience and quite possibly for everyone who watches this on replay. So Jeff, I'm sure you're going to hear things you already know, and I would love your input as well. So if you're up for it, I may just be asking you for thoughts as well, if you like to do that.
Yeah, love to.
Great, thank you, Jeff. So I'm a lord, as it says in the label. So I have a very, and funnily enough, LinkedIn is a very kind of steel type platform. In case you haven't worked it out, it's a very, analytical, quite technical, slow burn. I think it suits me quite nicely, actually. So I'm all on the left-hand side, still dynamo. Abysmal percentages on the Blaze on the Blaze side. So marketing funnels. Let me just quickly share my screen, and let's see whether that funky bit works. Bear with me for a moment. Okay, I'm going to try to do that funky thing that Zoom is doing, but I have to. Okay. Momentito while I save this. It needs it on the desktop. You know the Zoom feature where you actually you're in the presentation. Have you seen that? If not, I'll show you. It's quite cool. It's worth the wait. So let's try and do this again. And I can show you how to do it yourselves, by the way, if you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
Desktop. There it is. Ta-ta! Hi, here I am. So that's the feature I was talking about. It's quite fun, isn't it? Some of you may have already you already have it, and I think it's quite cool. Anyway, so the subject matter for the evening is marketing funnels, or a marketing roadmap, as I like to call it. Funnel is a little bit of jargon, isn't it? So let's see if I can move that forward. Yes. So let's start with a definition, so we know exactly what we mean by that. We all know from our own shopping habits and how we go about buying services from other professionals, that we follow certain steps. There is a process. So the funnel effectively outlines that process that any buyer goes through in order to make a decision to buy. And in this presentation, what I'm going to do is it's going to be very interactive, by the way. I'm going to share examples. I'm going to pause. We're going to do some exercises together. And I will invite you, if you have a website and you would like a little bit of feedback on how is it doing from the top of the funnel. If I invite Jeff as well, we can actually give you some feedback as well. So don't hesitate, dive in. And we can do, because all of this is great, but when you see it in action, it's quite different. So so that's what we're going to do. Very, very, very interactive, and lots of questions. So why on earth do we need, by the way, I'm using the words roadmap, marketing roadmap, and marketing funnel. I mean the same thing. It's only because I'm not a very, very big fan of the word funnel, but I do appreciate people understand what that means. Now, the main reason for me as to why we need this in our business is, I don't know whether this applies to you, but I see it a lot when I talk to my clients, this feast versus famine cycle. You know how it works. You are busy marketing, promoting your business, your services, you get clients, then you get busy delivering. Then you really tone down your marketing, and then all of a sudden your pipeline for the next 2-3 months is really looking very unloved, and there isn't much there. So off you go again and trying to push your services out there. And so this creates this up and down that lots of people, especially in the service industry, which is the particular area that the particular clients that I help with, they do suffer from that. So when you have a process in place that maps out very specifically all of these steps, you can mitigate the ups and downs. It doesn't completely and utterly solve the problem, but it really does address quite a lot this particular cycle. It evens it out. So that's, for me, I think, the main reason and the main benefit for thinking through how we can build that process into our business. So it's that consistency, that flow, to use the wealth dynamics terminology, is that flow of prospects that we want to make sure we have. And what we can do, once you have the system in place, you can turn it up if you need to, because you need to be making more promotions, or you can tone it down. But effectively, it stays at a level in the middle, so ensuring consistency. And obviously, what that means is when you put a funnel in place and there are clearly defined steps that move people, they're designed to move people from one stage onto the other of the buying cycle, then that means your selling becomes a lot easier. So I think these are, for me, the main reasons for spending time and energy creating that. So this is the practical bit. I would like us all to reflect. Now, I appreciate, Julie, you probably are not going to be specifically in that one, but you probably have thoughts. What I'd like us to think a little bit about is, what are you doing at the moment? What channels to market are you using to promote your services? And it could look a little bit like this. We normally have a website at the very heart of our offering. Then we may do physical networking events like this one. We may be on LinkedIn, or if I move me around, or you can do a newsletter, videos, search engine optimization. You could be on social, you could be doing Google advertising. There's a lot out there. And it normally looks a little bit like this. So there's a lot of things happening here and there. So our objective this evening is to find a way all of these to streamline into a process that is interconnected and supports your own particular sales process. So this is the bit that I would encourage you to take out pen and paper, and let's assess where you are right now. Now, out of these activities, and I have a list here I'm going to share with you in a second, I would like us to take a good 2-3 minutes to quietly work on this. So how many marketing activities do you actually do right here, right now? Active things. So if you go networking, let's see. I have a list here just to give you some inspiration. Now, the P and the F is just a particular category that says it's a paid channel or it's a free channel. So I'm listing here a number of different channels that you may or may not be using to promote your services or your products right here, right now. So let's take a moment and jot down the key ones for you. And if I change another page, this is more channels for you to consider. Let me know if you would like me to go back. And let's pause for a minute and do this exercise.
Can you go back?
Certainly.
I have a question.
Yes, Julie?
Yeah, and my apologies to everybody that's thinking right now. I'm currently not doing any of this, but I was wondering if you use Quora Answers as a channel.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. So this list is to help you. It has the key ones, but Quora is actually one of the channels to market. Absolutely. Yes. It's not, the list I have here is not all exclusive, but I believe I have it. I have it down here, don't I, on the bottom left?
You do, and I was just curious, do you post a question or something, and like how do you talk to people that way?
How would you use this particular channel? Okay, so very quickly, you would use it for research to assess what kind of questions people are asking about your industry. So it's quite useful, because if you're looking to create content that is relevant for your prospects, it's useful to know what type of questions are they asking, what are they interested in knowing. So that would be one bit. So the research part of the marketing activity. And then if you find that, some of your prospects are in fact on Quora, then you may decide 2 or 3 key questions to answer them yourself. Because then when you search, you may have seen it, when you search Google a question, it is quite likely a popular answer will crop up. So that's how you would use it.
That's brilliant.
So, it's a pleasure. So how are we doing? May I ask with you, Jeff, because obviously you are in marketing. Is it okay if you could share with us, are you comfortable sharing with us the key channels that you're using at the moment? So Jeff may not be able to answer, but anyone else who would like to go through, Luca and Katerina? And I know you're both in a different space, but Luca, for example, would you like to share with us what you're doing at the moment?
Yes, I kind of like recently launched a new business that is teaching people how to get into cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency investors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's fairly recent, so only started in May, and I actually used Genius U as my main channel. So I've got of the landing pages on there. I ran a live video information education. Oh, let's check. Educational hour on Genius U every week. Also, we have kind of like aim on a daily house. Again, educational side, and question and answer sessions. Plus networking when possible. When we can start again.
Mm-hmm.
And also I developed a lead magnet, which is kind of like our masterclass on blockchain currencies.
Perfect.
And I have a Genius U group. I'm kind of adding on every week as we run these kind of informational. We run the crypto hour on Genius U. So every Friday we do this, and every week there are new people joining. Managed to get 130.
Brilliant.
So I'm building up, because it's not as obviously it's not like Facebook. There's anybody whenever you do a group of thousands of people, but on Genius U is more limited, but they are more targeted as well, leads.
Indeed, yes, great. Thank you for sharing, Luca. Nives, would you like to share with us? You don't have to, but you can if you like. So
hi. So because I have a beauty salon, so we do the usual newsletters, then we do social media marketing. Mm-hmm. And this is all what started kind of naturally, because there was a need to communicate with clients. Mm-hmm. So it all started like randomly, not in an order that we would think. So then later we did Google My Business, but it's only set up. We don't use it for, I can see that it has a lot of things to do, but we never got there, because we noticed that most of our clients prefer social media newsletters.
Okay.
Because we get lots of interaction there. And then, let me see. Yeah, we don't do any ads, because it's for us, it's more recommendations, mm-hmm. mostly how it happens. Yes.
Brilliant. I think that's... Thank you for sharing, Nives. And Jeff, do we have you back properly with video now? Are you happy to share your top channels?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Talk about putting you on the spot, Jeff. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. You've got to think on your feet, haven't you? Fast-paced world we live in. So my top channels, historically, it's been a combination. Actually, it's been a combination of offline networking. I did a lot of that, and online networking with LinkedIn, actually. Mm-hmm. So those were the two main avenues that I used to build up my profile. I had a MySpace going back in the day, and Facebook, but I wasn't really, being very prolific with those channels for building my business network. And Twitter, of course. Twitter, I was quite prolific on. I used to be on that very avidly. Really kind of detailed strategy I had, identifying the influencers for all the different sectors that I touched, and building up relationships with them, and regular shout outs and reposts and tweeting their things, and really building up good relationships. So those were the kind of main avenues for me. Done lots of other things on the list there. Article writing, obviously the SEO as well, and the talks as well. So the talks is, I guess, networking, isn't it? And
absolutely.
That would take people online, and people would be kind of following me from there. And I've had the fortunate situation of most of my business being referrals. But obviously, I'm looking to be a lot more proactive now, because that's great, but it's not enough. If you want to grow and scale, yes, and really kind of move forwards with purpose, you got to use a lot of different strategies, haven't you?
That's very true, and thank you, Jeff. I have to confess, I still love Twitter. It's my second best after LinkedIn. It has a different dynamic. I love it. And now with audio and spaces, who needs Clubhouse? You can do it all on Twitter. But I think you're quite right, Jeff. And going back to why would you need to build a proper marketing funnel? Because it does allow you to scale. Actually, it's one of the key components that allows us to scale. Woon, are you happy to share quickly your top channels with us?
Yeah, I mean, I got landing pages. That's definitely a huge part of how I'm getting my clients. Obviously podcasting, that's like super important, because that's part of my business. I did a lot of Clubhouse actually at the start of the year, and then I think it's been really paying off. What else that I've been doing? I think obviously websites. Jeff is helping me on that.
Yes.
So yeah, I think those have been and the other thing is obviously lead magnet downloads and then webinars. That's been super easy for me.
Fantastic. So here is a guide to help you when you put together your channels. Most of us here are solopreneurs. When you are a solopreneur, obviously there are lots and lots of channels out there. I think initially, if you aim between your core 3 channels that are your key ones, that's where your audience is, not necessarily because you like them, is where your audience is. So if your audience plays in those channels, then they become important for you, and then build it up to 5. So between 3 and 5 good important channels, it's a good number to be aiming at. I think one of the difficulties, it's the shiny object syndrome, and Clubhouse is a perfect example of that one. Actually, everybody, including me, I put it down to research, by the way. I was doing marketing research, thank you. Beginning of the year, we were all on Clubhouse, right? I do not remember the last time I logged on. I switched off, I think maybe April time, that was it. That was the last time. So it is a distraction sometimes. So you just have to balance it, assess what's happening new in the market, but balance it. So if you aim, so Julie, as well as you're planning to launch yourself at the end of the beginning of next year, if you aim for 3 core channels initially, expand to 5, then that's a good way of managing all of these so that it doesn't become overwhelming. And now I'm going to introduce the funnel, the roadmap. And there are 5 distinct stages in the buying cycle. So it supports the buying cycle. And we always start with refining your offering. So what do I mean by that? This prep. For me, it's always strategy before tactics. Now, if there is one massive marketing mistake that I see people make all the time, is what I was just saying, is we can become very tactical because the tools are shiny and we love them, we fancy them. There was just so much buzz around Clubhouse, but this is just tactics. And first of all, we just need to hone in our strategy. So frequently when I work with people, they already have a service, they're out there, they're selling it. But what exactly is the focal point? Because when we have lots and lots and lots of different services or different products, we need to present a way in, an easy to understand, simple way in. So the prep side is all about redefining and ever so slightly repositioning the strategic objectives. What are we aiming to do here? And I know sometimes people want to skip that bit, but I would say it's the most important bit of the entire exercise. Then the next one is call to action. So we need to invite our community, our prospects, our followers to do something. We're going to break down, I'm going to break down each and every one of these stages. Then we want to build our database. We want to take people off the different platforms onto our own digital assets, so we are in control. We want to nurture them over time, recognizing that the buying cycle, especially if you're in B2B, it's actually quite long. It may be a little bit different for you, Neves, because you have, bricks and mortar. It's a slightly different model, but in B2B, it can be quite long. I sometimes get phone calls from people. I had a conversation 2 years ago. They remember me, and then they go and they're ready now. And so it can be quite long. So how do we nurture our prospects? How do we stay top of mind? And then it's about getting referrals. And what I mean by that is the strategic partnerships, the collaborations. How can we ensure that we get, what a lot of you said, that you do get referrals? What if we were to put a simple, straightforward system in place that this is done with a proper plan, rather than sort of waiting for people to come in? So that's all about putting the systems in place. So let's dive right in. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to discuss each and every step of the funnel. And one of the key things here, let's see whether I can move or I can lower a little bit my photo. I'll just move it here. I have a question here at the bottom for you. It's understanding what is going on in your prospects, clients, potential clients' mind. There is always an unspoken question, something quite key, regardless of what they may actually be saying to us. There is a key question that we have to address. So so this is quite an important part of the marketing funnel, being aware how we address the questions. So refining the offering, I talked about strategy before tactics. And hands up if you ever heard a marketer talk about ideal clients and you're gay, you're rolling your eyes. It is in fact quite important. And I know, a lot of people talk about this. For me, the key thing is to find the emotional triggers. Yes, we need the geo-demographics. That is quite useful. But actually, for me, most of the work on the ideal client is what triggers them. What are the pain points? What challenges are they facing, and how can we solve their challenges? Because once we are crystal clear about where we contribute in solving the issues and the challenges our clients facing, then it becomes a very clear proposition. And what is happening in this stage is people are thinking, well, why should I be listening to you? There's so many people, there's so many of me out there, there's so many of you out there. Why should I be listening specifically to you? So we need to find a way to address this. This is what's happening in our followers' mind. Now, let me go back a second, because there's something I'd like to clarify here. As you can see, I have the process is followers, prospects, clients, ambassadors. I just want to clarify an important point here, just in case. I find this may not apply to you, by the way. I do come across it quite a bit. That's why I'd like to clarify this point. Sometimes there's a little bit of confusion between who is a follower and who is a prospect. So for instance, I work with people who may have thousands of followers on LinkedIn, and they say, hey, this is my community. I say, it's a good start, definitely not your community, because they may not even remember who on earth you are. These are followers, good for the ego and a great start, but they are not prospects. A prospect is someone who responds to your call to action. You invite them to do something, they do it. By doing so, that means they are interested. They have expressed a level of interest. So that makes them a prospect. And the other key point I'd like to make sure, just to, I know it's an obvious point, but it's important when we build a funnel to keep that in mind. This isn't a linear process. You don't necessarily go from one box to the other. Frequently, a prospect may jump and become an ambassador without ever becoming a client. A prospect who loves your content, follows you, consumes your articles, loves to be part of your community for whichever reason. They're not buying directly, but they're out there saying, you know what, if it's Google Ads, you need to talk to Jeff. If it's Google My Business, you need to talk to Jeff. If it's podcasting, you need to go to Woon. So it's just understanding that it's a nuanced process. So I hope that helps in terms of being clear on the terminology. So this is the bit normally in a marketing funnel. So when you think of how do you allocate your time, you will spend quite a bit of time in this part of the exercising, the exercise, just defining your objectives and deciding specifically your audience, because you may have various audiences, by the way. You may have 1, 2, 3, more than 3. It will probably get a little bit confusing, and their challenges may overlap to a certain degree, but it may well be they have a particular challenge because it's that particular sector, that particular industry, for example. So it's worth defining quite specifically where you are in that process. Now, the call to action, a persuasive call to action, I love this bit. That's the bit where I have a lot of fun and I'm loving it. So here is what I observe quite a bit. Whether this is a web page, a website, a landing page, or LinkedIn, which is effectively like a personal website because of the space you have available, we may do a great job explaining our services, the benefits, how we serve people. We may even identify quite clearly the challenges people are facing, but then nothing. We assume people know what to do next. Well, they don't. It is our responsibility to make sure we invite them to take that next step with us, and we need to identify that quite clearly. It sounds like the simple thing on the planet. Most people I talk to get stuck on this one. A couple of things happen. Either there is zero call to action, all of the other stuff is there, and then it's like, or it's an extremely weak call to action, something like, if you're interested by any chance, you know, if you're on this side of the pond, if you wouldn't mind terribly, and all of that, you know, we become very British in our language, it becomes very, very, very weak, you know, please contact. If for whichever reason you may want to have a chat. That's actually very weak. It's not exactly compelling. Now, the other thing I notice, I don't know whether it applies to you, but when you go back and you look at your connections on LinkedIn, on other websites, do look at this from this perspective. You may find multiple and competing calls to action. So here's what happens. Most of us have a number of services. We may have an entry point, like you mentioned, Luca, there is a masterclass, and maybe there is a program after that. Maybe you have an online program. Maybe they can do a bundle of packages, or coaching services or whatever. We normally have 2 or 3 services. It's the ladder of services, as we call them. It starts low, a low hurdle for people to get to know us a little bit. And then depending on what the outcome of that is and what their specific needs are, we all have different services that get bigger and more complicated and more in-depth depending on the client's needs. So here's what happens. We spend a lot of time and energy developing all of these programs, and we feel the urge to share it with the world from the get-go. And I don't even know you very well. And then I start, well, you know what, you can do a masterclass with me, but then you can do my 12-week program, and then you can do my annual this and my, and all of a sudden I introduce calls to action for all of these together at the same time. Now, we know there is science behind this. When we are presented with too many choices, guess what happens? We don't make a decision. It becomes overwhelming. All of a sudden, our brain needs to consume a lot of energy to assess the different options. Which one is the best one for me? Is it this one? Is it that one? It's like, oh, you know what? That's just too much work. I'm going to park it for now. So that's what we are doing. I know there is an urge, and I know because it has happened to me. So I know sometimes you just want to say, look, I do so much more than that initial step. But your job is to fight that urge and only do the first one. So your call to action needs to be about one thing and one thing only at every step of the process. So the initial call to action needs to be that initial one and nothing else. And it needs to be quite compelling. And it's say, you do this and this is what you're going to get out of this. So I hope this helps, and we can discuss and some of your calls to action and how you have found them in practice in a bit. But that's quite key because it sets the tone. Now, the third step in the marketing roadmap, marketing funnel process is building your database. Is what I mentioned earlier, that it's because of the nature of the game with social media and all the different platforms. I find people forget that we don't own Facebook, we don't own Instagram, we don't own LinkedIn. It's their platform, they make the changes. Our job and ultimately our objective is to take people off that platform and onto our own database, our own list. I'll give you a very recent example. Only yesterday, and I'm just referencing LinkedIn because I spend most of my day on LinkedIn. If you have spent any time doing LinkedIn stories, pretty much the same as Instagram, Facebook stories, and you may have been investing a little bit of time and energy to do those. Well, LinkedIn just announced that they're pulling them out. By the end of the month, there will be no LinkedIn stories, no more. They are revisiting the entire product. They're going to combine it with video. God knows they haven't said. The main thing is, if as part of your channels to market, let's take this example. If LinkedIn stories was one of the ways, if you found that doing this daily, off the cuff, quick communication with your contacts and your connections, if that wasn't one of the areas, now will be no longer, and there's nothing you can do about it. But what you can do about it is make sure you find a mechanism a call to action to move people from that platform onto your own database, and that's the key thing. Now, Luca, you mentioned a lead magnet. A lead magnet, just to clarify, it's a little bit of jargon. It's effectively an educational piece, something of value. It could be in many different formats that we know our prospects are going to find interesting, and they're willing to exchange that with their email. And what is happening in the prospects' mind? So this is when they transfer over, we change their status from followers to prospects. I don't know what this is doing here. Sorry about that. Not quite sure how to get rid of this. Apologies. Hope it will go away. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what, Jeff, any ideas? You don't think it's
what are you
pinned?
seeing? I can't see anything except the presentation and you.
Ah, okay. So you can't see an antivirus
No.
making me an offer. Oh, good. Thank God for that. On the calls to action, they found now the time is right to make me an offer. Thank you. So back to the funnel. So building your database. What was I saying? Okay, the transfer of status between a follower, who could be your connections on LinkedIn, your followers on Instagram or on Twitter, and now they have taken action. They have done something specific. They downloaded a report, they watched a video, they attended your free webinar. So now, they've indicated that they've gone with a little flag and they say, hey, I'm actually quite interested in what you offer. So that makes them now a prospect. So what happens then? The next step is, that's the initial interest, but how do we make sure we keep them? And that's the nurturing bit, because we talked about how the buying cycles can be actually quite long. So the main thing here is, apart from that initial interest, and this is where a marketing funnel can become leaky, by the way, because a marketing funnel is not watertight. You can lose people at every stage of the process. It is quite possible that somebody grabs your lead magnet, comes to your masterclass, watches your webinar, and that's it. I mean, that is it. They are then lost into the ether. So the ones who stay, we want to keep top of mind. And that would be a series. That's a lot of it I would recommend through email. You want that direct contact, direct messaging, WhatsApp. There are lots of direct messaging is also very, very effective. I love it. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Jeff, but it's having that direct communication. Do you use direct messaging?
Increasingly, actually. I've noticed that some people that are doing well on social media, they're using DMs kind of prolifically.
Yes.
And that's, an integral kind of part of the funnel. I know also some people are using a lot of automation in that, aren't they? So they tell you to type in one word, and that word has it triggers a sequence, doesn't it? I'm not sure about that, because sometimes that's a little bit impersonal, isn't it? And it can kind of get confused when you're trying to communicate with a bot, but yeah, there's a lot of people doing that effectively, and I've started to do it, but yeah, I need to do more, I think.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. And I was thinking you're quite right, because I've looked at different platforms, and I'm just wondering for Neves, I wonder whether the automation might work well when you have some frequently asked questions. So Neves has beauty salons. It's quite possible that people say, well, this particular treatment, is it good for me if I have eczema, for example? How much does it cost? So if there are some easy to answer FAQs, then it might be worth having something which is on auto, and that can be done by the website as well. So just an idea for you, Neves, to explore possibly, because you mentioned social media is quite a key channel for you. Now, Julie asked in the chat box, what is a good email marketing platform? So that's the $1 million question. There are so many email marketing platforms out there. It's beyond. I mean, the big one, the big granddaddy is obviously Mailchimp. Mailchimp, yes, it's as you said, Jeff, in the chat, it's a very widely used. It's a good, solid platform. They've been there for years. Active Campaign, it depends a little bit on what you want to do. The good thing with Mailchimp is that you can start for free. There are certain restrictions, obviously. You can start for free, check it out, and build it from there. Active Campaign, yes, I actually like Active Campaign. There's lots of good choices. Between those two, you can't go wrong, Julie, in terms of the platforms. So this fourth stage of the marketing funnel, it's a pleasure, Julie. It's so we talked about, just to revise a little bit, we talked about starting with our strategy, refining our offering and just making sure we know what we're doing with the funnel. Then we start with a call to action and compelling call to action, one thing, the one service to move people over. Then we start building a database, and nurturing our prospects goes hand in hand with building that database. So we open up the interest, and then we just have to keep doing this over a period of time. So content is quite key here. Thank you, Julie. That's absolutely fine. You can catch up on a replay later. So content is quite key. Keep giving value, educating, reminding them, making people offers. And the final stage is how we get referrals. And for me, that bit is it's a lot of it about. We all say how important word of mouth is for us, and it really is. It really does work. Imagine what could happen if we could have a process in place. So what if we were to identify the 2 or 3 key strategic partners for us? And if you think about it, we all have to, if you go back and look at the and examine in the last year, the last couple of years, who are the people who have given you most referrals? There's normally 2 or 3, a handful, barely. So what can we put in place? That's the key question behind this. What can we put in place to support this process and nurture that relationship better? So that's what it is all about, is scanning our environment, our networking, our connections, and looking for potential collaborations. So, for example, I frequently collaborate with personal branding photographers because we know the profile on LinkedIn, it really matters how your image is on LinkedIn and your profile photo. So that sort of things, there are natural collaborations that are taking place. And then it's about putting an action in place. Also with our existing clients, I will give you a simple example. So let's say you worked with a client, you delivered the project, and they are delighted with the work you did. Do you send them an email, a letter, a communication that actively invites them to recommend you to their network and have something in place? And this could be a formalized agreement in terms of incentives, or could be something else. Do you actually ask the question? And if you do ask the question initially, are you following up on this after a period of time, after 60 days, 90 days, to remind them that you're still around, you still exist, and you're still interested in offering the services in some others of their clients. So it doesn't have to be overly complicated. Obviously here, there is the Get Referrals on steroids for e-commerce sites when we're looking at loyalty schemes, and it can, you need technology and special platforms. This is a special category. It doesn't really apply for a lot of us. I think a lot of us, simple one-to-one arrangements and agreements, and a simple process of following up with these. And it could be a note in your diary to make that reconnect phone call with your key partners every 60, 90 days, or whatever that time frame is right for your business. So the main thing here is to appreciate that when people are happy with a service, I believe in the good nature of people. I believe that people would like to help you. If they like your content, if they think that what you offer is valuable, they would like to help you. So how can we make it easy for them to do so? That's the key idea behind this step. And then let's recap. That's where we are. I'm going to leave this on, and I'm going to invite people to just unmute themselves and give me their thoughts. These are the 5 stages of the marketing funnel that can help a great deal even out feast or famine cycles that a lot of you, it may not apply to you, I know, but it does apply to a lot of people. You may know someone who is suffering from that. It can really help. So may I just invite you to unmute yourself and give me some feedback, your thoughts. Was there a particular stage of the funnel where you thought, my goodness, I think I might be wanting to do more on that? What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that I can do something more in all of those stages. You know, it's a tried and tested process, isn't it? You know, in terms of those stages and looking at the marketing AIDA model, it's tried and tested. And the stage 5, the get referrals, and where clients become advocates and they're promoting you and defending you online, is becoming more and more of a factor, isn't it, in the whole process. And so I think for each of those stages, you should really have a strategy or a plan in place. You know, and I certainly need to keep improving and working on mine for sure. So it's a great reminder. You know, it's no good saying you know it if you're not doing it, right? So to know and not do is to not know, right? So yeah, so it's great. It's good, really good summary.
Yeah. You're right, Jeff, and thank you for your honesty. And I'm actually the same with you. And I think because you're a marketing professional, sometimes we assume that we know everything, we have absolutely everything in place. That's not quite right. I wish it were. But this is how we learn, and we are able to help our clients as well, because we also do our own marketing, and there's always room to do more. I think if people are starting out right now, just to recap what I mentioned earlier, look at doing one key activity across the board, 3 to 5 channels to market, and build it from there. So do the first bit, embed, and then build upon. Don't just get overwhelmed that, oh my God, there's so much to do. It doesn't matter. As Jeff said, what matters is the implementation of the key channels. So how about you, Woon, in terms of have you found this helpful? Was there something particularly that triggered you?
Yeah, I mean, I really like how you broke it down into the client's minds. I think that those trigger questions was really useful to keep in mind when I'm doing those different steps. I thought the bit around, how do I know you're for me? Like how the differentiation happens. That's something that I need to improve on. And then the next question was, like, how do we stay in touch? That's something that I've never really thought through from my sort of like, the journey point of view. So that was quite useful questions. And then I think there was something else you mentioned, which I think is quite interesting, which was that you said that if there's too many options, they get confused. But I think because I'm thinking that if you don't give them options, they don't, they don't make a decision as well. So that's kind of like the flip side of I guess this is more on the landing page rather than on the website or the lead magnets, I think, on the sort of giveaways. I think that is something that I don't know whether you guys got any thoughts that that I'm seeing that there are more and more sort of marketplaces rather than landing pages that are being used. So it's more like, okay, if I have all these different products, like I think there's this idea that people are going towards marketplaces rather than landing pages. So I'm just curious what your thinking is around that.
Yes, well, first of all, there is a fine balance between offering decent enough options as a service and too many options. I think, and my key thought, and I will probably imagine that Jeff agrees, is test it. You really have to test these things. I mean, marketing is, if you approach marketing from a scientific point of view with curiosity out there to discover what actually works specifically for your business, that's the best way to approach it, and take away any emotional attachment. Oh my God, this didn't work and all of that. It doesn't matter. It's a series of tests. So you do need to test, especially landing pages. So it's just to clarify one particular point there, what I'm talking about, and I'll jump on a particular website that I think does that call to action really, really well. When I say the one thing, is when people see the first thing they see, you need to guide them to the next step quite quickly, and that needs to be one thing. If you give them too many options, so I'm not referring to the services. So you can, if they scroll down or they click somewhere else, they can see actually that you have 3 core services. For example, anything more than 3, again, I think that's a little bit too much. So I'm talking about that initial perception of, okay, I know now what I need to do. Let me, if that's okay with you, I'm going to jump. Okay, so that's my, nobody wants to know specifically my profile. So that's Keep, previously known as Infusionsoft. It's a super powerful CRM system. A lot of good companies use it. It's a really advanced. A really advanced platform. So this is the top part. Can you all see my screen, by the way? Can you all see my...
The roadmap's still there. I'm not sure.
The roadmap is there. Oh, okay. Let me just change that and go to Keep. There it is. Okay, there. Can you see Keep now?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so this is the tech platform I was talking about. So when that's the top bit, the above the fold bit of the website. So what is the call to action? So remember, this is a technical platform. The call to action is try free. They want you, it's blacked out. So it says try free, see demo. Try free, see demo, see demo. That's their call to action. So then if I don't do that and I scroll down, then they give me, then they expand. So then they go into the benefits, the proven methodology, and they do a fabulous job, I believe, in really with minimum amount of words to very, very compelling copy here, very compelling copy. So they explain the benefits quite well, but the top call to action is you try it for free or you see the demo. That's it really. So that's what I'm talking about when I say, look at the one thing. Does that help a bit, Won?
Yeah, totally.
Thank you. Neves, feel free to jump in. I know I talked a little bit more about services because that's the area that I work primarily in. But if you feel there's anything from a beauty salon perspective, because the same principles apply. The channels might be slightly different, and then the way you go about it, but the overarching hierarchy is the same. And how about you, Luca? Was there anything particular that you thought like a quick takeaway for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because actually I follow that kind of roadmap. But being a creator, I started with it creating one at a time, in the sense that, I didn't wait for have them all ready before starting. So I started with creating a community first, and being what Roger always says, being a leading learner. So in a way, I was sharing my expertise with a group of people that were interested in cryptocurrency, and that created the community. Then I created the free masterclass, but I didn't really have the other products well developed, so it didn't really work very well at that stage. Then at stage 3, I did the kind of micro school, which just finished actually last week, which went pretty well. And stage 4 is then like a yearly program with me, and I had a really good, actually between step 3 and step 4 was really good, easy transition, because people then knew me very well. I spent a week with me, and pretty much everybody that was on the micro school then upgraded in the yearly program. I still need to work on step 5. I haven't got to that stage yet. People have just been with me for a while, and I need to give them results so that they can then share them with their friends. And then I was thinking of giving them kind of like a commission-based referral. So they already, some of them are left reviews already. But then give them an extra incentive and say, well, bring some of your friends as well, and you have your membership paid for when you went through 4. That's the thing. What I need to improve is kind of like the transition between one step and another, like making it smoother, especially now that these products are present in the store as recorded programs, people can access anytime. Is actually improving kind of the cards at the end of the program, so people know exactly what the next step is. And I think I need to work a little bit on that, and doing some easy graphics for people to follow at the end of the content they've consumed.
Yes, I love your process, Luca. Actually, I think it works really well, and I love the fact that you don't wait. Done is better than perfect, as they say. And creator profiles, and definitely strong dynamo energy does have that. That you get out there, it's better to do it, and then you can optimize it. And there's always room for improvement and optimization, and you can do it on the run and while things are happening. I mean, the other thing I've noticed, since you mentioned the creator, we have 2 or 3 creators here. One of the things to be mindful of, especially if you have strong dynamo in you, is if you have a system that's working, if you have a service that's working, if a marketing funnel, a roadmap, and you're happy with that, don't fiddle with this too much. Sometimes we take something that works and we think, oh, I'm bored looking at it. Let me just now start revising. So there's something about, there's a difference between changing something because we just got bored with it, or and changing something for improvement. So we introduce something new that actually helps with the delivery of the service. So this is a little bit something, because I find this sometimes with high dynamo professionals. They have something that's working and we're looking for optimization, and all of a sudden they go, oh, you know what, I'm just going to turn in on this head and I'm doing quite interesting. No, don't stop touching it. So that's a little bit something to be mindful of, considering the wealth dynamics perspective in this.
Thank you. I've had a good help from Genius U, because I partner with them, and they're very good at selling as well. So they guided me.
They are indeed, and this is where we all need people with when you're a high creator with tempo energy, because they will break it down and they will hold you accountable and all of that. So that's, anyway, we're going into wealth dynamics now, but it does have an impact on how we go about creating our services and how we promote our business, actually. So that's me done, I think, for this evening. I will finish off because surely I need to show the way and do a good example. So my call to action is, if you are interested in taking the next step, my next step would be to do a marketing funnel audit with me, because this is where you can identify gaps. And sometimes having that thinking partner, that perspective, someone who is 2-3 steps removed from your services, from your offering, and just look at things a little bit from a distance might be very useful. So if this is something that you are thinking of spending a little bit more time, then booking a marketing audit will be the next step. And then you contact me directly. I'm going to put my details. Let me see. Let me just have that over here. I'll put my details in the chat, but effectively it's queenbeeoflinkedin.com. That's my website. I'm redoing it, by the way. Don't be too harsh on my website. Jeff, are you listening? And obviously on LinkedIn, Celia Queen Bee. That's enough to get me found. And thank you so much for listening, those of you who are here and those of you who are going to watch this on replay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Celia. I don't know if anybody's got any questions that they would like to ask Celia. I know that she's covered so much ground. Is there anybody who wants to ask anything? You do?
Maybe I have a question which is like following on what we're just talking about. Is like you know, how do you move your prospect from one stage to another? What's the, you know, exact steps of the transition?
So how you move your prospects, or your from followers to prospects, or from prospects to clients?
I mean, both. I know that from followers to prospecting, I mean, you have the call to action. What process do you follow generally for going from prospects to clients?
So the main thing here is to know really well who your client is, and the more time you spend understanding what they actually need from you and what problem you're solving for them, the better you'll be able to communicate with them. So the first step for me is always, and I would say that because I'm a Lord and I have steel energy, is to do your research, do your due diligence, spend some time thinking exactly what problem you're solving. Assuming you've done that, then my next step as well in terms of research would be to scan your competitors, scan your environment, see what's happening around you, what other people are doing, and ask yourself, how can I do it better? How can I do it a bit differently? Because this will help you stand out. So it's again about thinking your particular service. So it may not be the service, it may be the way you deliver it. So think creatively and out of the box on what will be the good service for them, and then make a compelling offer to move them from one stage to the next. Ultimately, you want to have sales conversations. So it's quite tricky to give you specific examples without going deep into, because I have to ask you 3,000 questions first in terms specifically of you know, your particular service. But what you described, which is having a type of masterclass or a type of webinar, which is introduction. You're in crypto. I think crypto is a space that needs a lot of education, and if I may say so, because sometimes it's useful to talk about the elephant in the room, crypto also suffers from reputation issues. So trust is a big thing. So you need to find ways to address that. Because somebody hasn't voiced doubt and concern doesn't mean it's not on their head. So education is key. And building your own credibility, you becoming available, approachable for them to ask their questions and even voice their questions. I think for me, that would be a good trick on crypto. Don't wait for people to be brave enough and you know, actually say out loud, especially now we're live, you know, we're in a small room, but we're live on YouTube, we're going to be on Facebook, this, that, the other. So do you be brave enough and say, well, a lot of you may have concerns on crypto on this and this and that. I mean, you know this better than I do. So address it openly. I'm a very, you know, address it head on type of person. I think you have to address the elephant in the room. And because it could be the major obstacle you're facing in the conversation, the major hurdle, and nobody's talking about it, you see. So that's
very useful, actually, because I generally do it on a one-to-one basis on a conversation with a prospective, somebody that's thinking about joining one of the programs. I think this way it can address many people at once, which will probably have the same question, but they don't voice in front of everybody else.
Yes. So yes, there's no particular magic. I think for me it's all about staying in touch and in tune with your clients, with their needs. And especially now with the pandemic, we've noticed that a lot of things have changed quite rapidly for a lot of sectors. So it's about just staying in touch and, you know, having your finger on the pulse. That's the best marketing and that's the best research you can do. And then just address what people are thinking of.
Thank you very much. Great advice.
Pleasure. Any final thoughts from you, Jeff? I know you're quite an expert in your own marketing process, and I know we can always improve, but really, you know, you're quite an expert. So, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, actually, I quite like what Lucas said about being a leading learner. Is that a Rogerism? I think it's better to kind of place yourself in that situation, because, you know, the moment you start to think you know it all, it's not good. So you know, always learn something, and you know, it's been really good today. Thank you. I also want to add on to what Luca was saying in terms of you know, the processes that he's kind of going through, and ask, you know, what's worked well for you with your business in particular, in terms of converting followers into prospects and ultimately customers. What's worked well for you? Because the common model nowadays is to get them on a strategy call and see if it's a good fit, and then, you know, then proceed from there, really, and you know, have much more of a consultative sell, especially if you're going from cold to you know, client. So, you know, what's worked for you well? What have you found, and in your area?
I love that, and that's an important point. You know, what has worked well, do more of that. It sounds like an obvious thing to say, but many of us don't seem to be doing that. And I think I'll probably wrap it up with a final thought. You know, Katerina mentioned I ran a business book club, the Queen Bee Virtual Book Club, and the book we're reading this month is called Think Again by Adam Grant. And he's a psychologist. Forbes has identified him as one of the top 10 management thinkers in the world. And he has an interesting concept, which I loved. He talks about the importance of having a challenge network. Now, we all have support networks around us. In a way, this and Genius U and the City Circles is, in fact, a support network. But he talks about a challenge network, the 2, 3, 4 individuals whom we trust, we value, we respect. We don't have to agree with their opinion, but effectively we're inviting them to challenge our thinking, to be that critical friend who will give us and offer us a different perspective. And that, I think, is incredibly valuable, and it's the same we can apply it in everything, in marketing, in business, and in our personal lives. I love that book. What I'll do is I'll drop in the chat the link to the book if you're interested. Thank you. Katerina, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. That was amazing, absolutely amazing. I don't think we've heard anybody go into so much depth about how we should market our products and market ourselves. You actually get into our customers' heads. I think you know everything that they're thinking and what they're wanting, and you've just communicated that so brilliantly. I've learned a lot. I'm just at the beginning of my journey, and I prefer to do things face to face. So this is all new to me, and it's just think about. So I thank you enormously for sharing that information. It's been absolutely amazing. And I'm going to be rewatching it. I'm going to watch the recording because I'm sure I've missed a lot of things, you know, trying to retain it all. But I just love the way that everything's so solid. You've just basically dissected everything and just shared every minute detail with us. So I'm sure that everybody has found it very useful and very educational and very, very interesting. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
I also wanted to add something else as well, that you know, unusually for kind of like an event like this, but it's everything that you talked about tonight is very usable immediately. So it is a real value. So thank you for that.
Yes, I know that somebody's turned up late, but you haven't missed out because we have recorded this, so you'll be able to watch the recording, and that's on will be on our Facebook page. That's where we keep and store all the videos of all our meetings, so you haven't missed anything. And I would urge you to watch it and take Celia's details because she's amazing, absolutely amazing, and I think you know it's not to be missed. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm blushing, Katerina. Thank you for your kind words.
Carry on blushing because it's all true. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. But yes, thank you very, very much. Actually, really enjoyed it. And I think everybody else has as well. So thank you very much.
And this is one thing I wanted to ask as well. Are you in the Richmond area? Where your group is? I think it's another
Yes.
in your area as well.
I'm in St. Margaret's, actually, just literally the other side of Richmond Bridge. If you know the area. I think Jeff, you're somewhere southwest. Is that right?
I walked through there. Yeah, I went for.
I'll wave out of my window. Where are you based, Jeff?
I went for a 5-mile walk from Hounslow. I went Whitton, Twickenham.
Yes.
St Margaret's, Richmond, and then came back past the rugby stadium again, and then Isleworth. So yeah, probably walked past.
Brilliant. You're part of the furniture then.
Yeah, it's a nice part of the world, isn't it?
It really is. Very civilized, isn't it?
Yeah, we are a little bit thin on the ground. We've got quite a few members that have not been able to make it, and they did message us. Said Peter Linar says hello as well. He had something clashing with this evening, but he said to say hello and sorry that he couldn't make it.
Peter Linar?
Peter Linar, yes, he said he knows you very well.
I know Peter very well indeed. I wasn't expecting him here. It would have been such a treat.
Yes, he's
normally here.
He is normally. So there are quite a few people, and I don't know whether it's this time of year. People are, yes, unfortunately. But it's been nice because we've been able to get, been able to ask you a lot more questions, and it's been lovely. So thank you. Thank you very much. So sorry.
It's a pleasure. It's just I see some chat messages. Mugi, is that the person who just joined?
Yeah, so I actually just invited her yesterday because I think she was interested in running a circle in Munich.
Yes. So yes, it's going to be on YouTube and possibly on the Facebook group.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is for Wounds Benefit Wounds. We're doing it kind of like on live as well on the YouTube channel.
Oh,
so
okay. Yes,
it will be already. I mean, if you want, you can do your magic, edit it, but it's already on there. Okay.
The good thing is that when I present, I only look at my presentation and myself. I'm trying to not think it's live streamed and everything. Otherwise, I'll get stressed and flustered.
to be honest with you, it's kind of like we just use the channel mainly as a place where we can keep our videos and then for them to post them on the Facebook group and the Facebook page. I don't think that the channel actually has many followers, so we haven't really have this advertised.
But by the way, just from a technical perspective, because there's someone in the chat saying they can't hear anything. Obviously, they can't hear me, but it's always useful. I find when we send Zoom links, I've only had to use it twice in the last year for whichever reason my audio wasn't working. So I had the video on the computer, but then I dialed in on my phone.
Okay.
And it worked beautifully. It's just sometimes people don't share the dial-in number.
Right, we don't. Yes, we don't generally. Yeah. So thank you for that. We will. Yes.
It's a lordy observation. I apologize. Sorry.
We love
very
detail.
Good observation. Yes, I was going to say very good observation to share with us. Thank you. It's great about the profiles because we all understand each other and we know where you're coming from as well and how detailed you are, and it's great. So yes, it's brilliant. Thank you for that tip. Going forward, we'll use that.
You know, it's funny because it kind of when I actually came across Roger Hamilton and I did the test, for me it was so liberating, understanding that there's people that love doing things that I hate. I can say, yes, have more of it. Yes. And if you love it, just you can take it. I can do what I like. And I think it really is liberating because obviously in school we all taught to concentrate on things that we don't do well. Where in business is quite the opposite. You know, we pay to do the things that we do well, and so we want to do more of them.
Absolutely. I mean, the other thing is, you know, in terms of the percentages, I have very, very low blaze percentage. So I know I can be in that space for a limited amount of time. So now I used to go, give you an example, I used to go to exhibitions when I was in corporate, and most of my colleagues would want to spend the entire day there. I was dying after 2 hours. I mean, literally, I wanted to get out of the building, and I thought there was something wrong with me.
Yeah,
because everybody else obviously there was on the other side, and I thought, okay, I'm different, and I have to try and do better. And then I realized, well, actually, you know what, 2 to 3 hours is just about my limit when I'm on blaze energy, and then I just have to switch back. Thank you. So now, well, before the pandemic, when I would go to exhibitions, marketing tech exhibitions, I would just say, okay, I'm going to be there for 2 hours. I'm going to be very focused. I'm going to do, and then I'm out.
Yes.
So it's about managing that side of things. I find it quite useful, actually.
Yes, and I think, as Luca said, it is very liberating. I used to have to do our invoices at the beginning of every month, and I literally used to cry at the end of the day because I just couldn't stand it, and I used to dread doing that every month. And I've just given it to a VA, and she does it in 1 or 2 hours. It used to take me all day because I start daydreaming and then making mistakes. So it's nice knowing what your limitations are and just going with them, really. And you're more productive in doing the things that you do enjoy. So, yes.
Yes. What are your numbers, Jeff? Do you remember at all?
Numbers?
In terms of wealth dynamics, roughly.
Yes. I know what the impact map looks like. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was supporter. I think it was like a 7 or 8 out of 10. But then negotiator and star were joint second.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really skewed over on that side.
Yes.
Can't remember the rest of it so well.
It's called the arrow. It's called the arrow shape.
Okay. Is it
interesting? Because I saw Roger's. What was Roger's? He was 60% creator. I think 12% blaze and 12% tempo, and the rest was the steel. So yes, because I know that he doesn't always like being around people for too long either, and it just makes sense when you sort of see his chart. That was quite interesting to see.
So he's a creator, is he?
He's a creator,
yes.
very strong creator. Yes, very, very strong creator.
And what is interesting, Woon, I didn't quite catch. Are you from Singapore initially?
I'm from Malaysia.
From Malaysia. What was quite fascinating was in the last physical event we had with Roger in February 2020, he asks the room, he had done it before, he asks the room, who here is Dynamo? And everyone go, woohoo! And, most of the room was up. Blaze, even more noise. And then who is still, and just a select and eclectic group of us, very it's like, okay, we were all very quiet and composed and everything. And what he made a comment that actually that number does change per country, and obviously he's based in Singapore, so he knows a lot about that area. So he said in Singapore actually it's the other way around. You have a lot more steel people and tempo people, and not so many dynamos, which I thought was fascinating.
Yes, and the Nordic countries are apparently very, I think they look tempos because they're very nurturing and giving, and customer care is very important to them. So it does depend. I think Italy's a blazes, because you know what they're like. They're very loud and
hands everywhere.
Yeah, what do you want? It's quite interesting. Yes.
It's fascinating. I mean, I love it, and I frequently have it at the back of my mind when I meet people. I'm trying to identify certain, obviously you can't tell the profile, but you might be able to identify the key frequency.
Yes.
And I find that quite useful because then I know I need to perhaps emphasize certain things over some others.
I don't know.
So much.
Do you guys use the deck? The
Cards.
The cards, yeah.
Yes, I don't, but do you?
I use it all the time.
Okay.
Oh wow!
Wow.
So basically, it shows like what profile when you're speaking to someone else, like a different profile, like how you need to prepare yourself for it. And I use it all the time, so it's really powerful.
Where did you find that?
It's a product that they sell.
Is it?
Yeah.
They used to give it. I mean, they give it for free when you join some of the higher programs. I got one when I joined the Crystal Circle. I don't know if is it available as a product in the store as well now?
I'm pretty
Because
sure
it wasn't before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you ask, they'll sell it.
Yeah, no, they'll sell anything.
They're good at that.
That's a good, easy reminder to have in front of you, actually. Yes.
This is very good. I mean, it goes into so much depth because obviously depending on your profile or frequency, that depends on how somebody sells as well and how they lead. And there's so many different aspects to it and how you speak to people. And, this, if you knew all of that, you'd be an excellent communicator with everybody. You'd have to sell to everybody. And be really successful in business because you know how to make that sale and to get the best out of every situation. So it's very interesting.
True. And it affects marketing as well. The channels you may prefer over others may well be very linked to your key frequencies. And if you see my diagram, I'm on the completely on the left hand side, introverted, but I have a little bit, like a tiny little bit that goes into star. So I'm thinking, okay, that's me presenting then.
You're quite relaxed though in your presentation style. So you look quite natural.
Thank you. You know what? I think it's one of these things is practice. I've over the years, because it's a key channel to market for me, just to get my name out there. I've done so many yes, but I do get nervous. It doesn't show, but at the beginning I do get nervous. You should see me 5 minutes before. I'm sweating profusely. How about you, Jeff? Because you do a lot of training and all. Do you get a bit nervous just before?
Yeah, I do. I think it's healthy, you know, to have some, you know, fight or flight response to kind of help you, you know, give you a bit of a spark, you know. And especially the in-person big events, you know, those are, you know, quite nerve-wracking, really nerve-wracking, you know, sweat down the back of the neck, you know, but you just have to talk to yourself, don't you? Talk yourself through the process, envisage it going really well, and you know, remind yourself that you know what you're talking about, and then you kind of go into autopilot.
So what's the biggest audience you've ever spoken to, Jeff?
Probably 600.
Oh my Lord.
600 at one of the internet marketing events. Although at the T. Harveka event, the Guerrilla Boot Camp, I was called on stage by Alex Mendosian. There's a lot of people there. But yeah, probably, you know, in terms of presenting what I do, probably about 600 people. But it becomes a blur. So, and you know, you don't, you know, it's not like you can see everyone's eyes glaring like that, you know. So yeah, so it's different, and yeah, you just have to have a different approach, slightly different approach for it, and have your own mechanisms for anticipating things, you know, that go wrong. Because when things go wrong, you know, you could just freak out, can't you? Unless you kind of prepare for that and remain calm on the surface, you know, have the forehead, you know, and get through it that way, really. But yeah, so it's yeah, it's quite an interesting thing, isn't it?
I remember Jeff.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I met Jeff at one of these events. I do remember what you used to do from the stage, which is that everybody get up, and half of the people don't have the hands like this, and half the people have the hands like that. And I look at if everybody's clapping, you know, you take a picture.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I think the thing is at the beginning is to really interact with your audience. Like, you know, Celia, you turned up early. A lot of speakers turn up at 7:30, and then you get to know people, and you know, like we did our introductions, and that starts easing you in, doesn't it? Because you start feeling comfortable, you get to know your audience instead of coming in cold and starting to talk. It's a lot more difficult that way. And I think the way that you did it today, you came in and you did get to know everybody, you interacted with everybody, and then that makes everybody else feel at their ease, and you also feel, you know, that a lot easier to communicate with people and deliver your talk.
It is very important, especially on Zoom, and in a small group like this. It's interesting for me to know people's business and their background, because I can actually reference it if it's relevant during the presentation. But going back to numbers, my biggest audience has been 100. And I don't know how I would cope with 600. I would definitely not be going after talks like that. Let's put it this way. And the 100, I didn't think it was going to be 100. It turned out it was that number. And I had the most horrible experience, because I was on a kind of an elevated platform, and, you know, you had to step up 2, 3. So it wasn't a huge thing, but I had to step up a bit. And it was in Reading, and I put comfortable shoes on because I had to walk and everything. And I thought I took with me my proper shoes. And it turns out I didn't. So one of my colleagues, we said, okay, what size are you? And I'm, okay, I can just about fit in. So I got on stage on borrowed shoes, which were a little bit tight for me. Talk about the pain of standing up there. It was only, 20 minutes. It was TEDx type style. But I remember, it didn't quite help my confidence. Let's put it this way. But then I remember, the few moments before, I thought to myself, okay, I'm actually taking too many breaths here. I need to slow down my breathing, so that, when I actually go there and hold the mic, and I had the mic and, the clicker, and it's just
Too much going on.
It was too
Confusing.
much. But you know, when you know your topic and you love what you talk about, actually within the first minute, I would say, I just slipped right into the zone. And I was flying after that, but my stress levels just before had on red.
Right.
So I admire you for doing the 600 audience. In fact, some people have said that especially if it's a big auditorium, there's a lot of lights. So actually, and you see the lights, you don't see faces.
Yeah.
That's right. Probably the most daunting one was I was invited on stage to be a part of a male panel at a one woman event, and they had about 120 women in the audience. That was scary, and they had a spotlight, and it was right on our faces, 4 of us guys, and I was sweating. That was pressure.
Was that a Joanna Martin event?
Exactly.
Yes, yeah, I've been to her events. They're fantastic. Oh my God, I bet you felt a bit self-conscious.
Yeah, a lot of pressure there.
Right. Okay, well, we're coming close to 9 o'clock. So again, thank you very, very much, Celia. And I hope everybody's taken a note of Celia's details so that if you want to get in touch with her, you can directly. And that just leaves us to say, again, I've said thank you so many times this evening, but a big thank you. It's been really, really interesting.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And let's stay in touch. I'll do my best to come to the future events. And I'm not a big Facebook fan, but I will try and show up in the group as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we bid everybody good evening, and we'll see you at the next one. And enjoy your stay in Greece. I don't know, hopefully it's not too hot. You've got your hand up.
Yeah, no, I just think the movie was to have the link for the live for the YouTube. I'll post it here in chat. Everybody.
Just going to send that to everybody, the YouTube link to this recording, so you've all got it.
Yes, of course.
We've got it. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. So on that note, we'll just say good evening and enjoy the rest of your evening. Okay, so we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.